Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday evening. I'm just waking up from a long little nap. I'm still kind of tired and sleepy, but welcome, you guys. I'm going to just jump right in. If anybody saw my title, the title that I have is Pain Your Idol. And you probably say, what are you talking about? How is pain your idol? And you know what prompted me to say that today was at church, our pastor mentioned that for people not to make pain their idol. And as he spoke that, I'm like, okay, pain your idol. Instantly I'm like, how can that be? But then instantly it came to me how pain can become an idol. And I'm gonna adjust this for a second. Um, how you can make pain your idol when you think that you don't is anything that you think about, anything that you mull over, you give more attention to basically than anything that you give more attention to than you do God, then it becomes your idol. And I began to think even deeper about people and women, men that have gone through a lot of trauma, gone through a lot of hurt and heartache in their life. Um, Hold on just a second, you guys, and make sure this is up loud enough. Um, Adjusted it a little bit more, and hopefully you can hear me even better. Um, but what I wanted to say is that I have been mulling over and thinking about how many pains and heartaches that people go through and how it literally consumes you, especially if you've been in a marriage, you have married someone and you thinking that this is going to be for the rest of your life, or you're engaged and you thinking that it's going to be for the rest of your life. You're getting married to the love of your life, and that person does something to either before you walk down the aisle to hurt you. You may have found out that he may have slept with the best friend, or you may have found out that he went out and slept with somebody else, or you may found out he may have a child by someone else, or vice versa. Or when you get into a marriage and you've been married for any length of time, and it doesn't have to be any length of time, you're married and your marriage comes to an end and it comes to a bitter end, or trauma from parents, or something that somebody else has done to you. We normally just, that stuff consumes us, and it consumes us to the point where we become bitter, we become angry, not just angry, become violent. All these things that have happened to you in your life causes you to just mull this stuff over and over. You think about it constantly, over and over. And every time that you dwell, and I'll say we, because I know I'm a thinker and I notoriously have had things to just go over and over and over and over and over in my mind. But now I'm learning to say, okay, I refuse to think about this. Sometimes it's hard to shut your mind off, but the pain that you suffered and the trauma that you've gone through, that you rehearse it over and over and over and over, and you are giving it more attention than you are God. You belong to Jesus Christ. He doesn't want us to do that. He doesn't want something else to take his place. The pain that you suffer and that you constantly think about, or you constantly talk about, every time you meet someone, you're talking about what you've gone through, what somebody did to you. You can never seem to release it. You can never seem to let it go. Some people hold on to stuff for years and years and years and never let it go. And I get it. It takes a minute to let those things go. It is not easy, but I promise you, God is always here to help us overcome those things. The older you are, I say it's like food that's marinating. When you're marinating an item, when you're marinating pork or beef or lamb, the seasonings that you put in it, the longer you marinate it, the more the seasonings are in that meat. That's the way it is with adults who have lived with pain through their teenage years and into young adult years, into middle age, into older years. Those things settle in you. And that's how we make our pain, our idols, versus allowing God to heal us everywhere we hurt in those circumstances. God has an answer for everything, and he promises that he's near to the broken heart, and he saved those who have a contrite spirit. So when you're hurting and you are like Pastor was talking about vows this morning, and I and my friend had talked about this. My friend Rosalind and I always talk, and we talk along these lines. At one point, we were talking about how when you make a vow to yourself, we'd said that a few years ago, um, like there was something that I had spoken in myself because I had been through so much trauma. I had been through multiple marriages, and the last one really traumatized me. I felt like, but I made a vow to myself. I had told her, I said, never, ever again will I allow anyone to treat me or go through anything like I've gone through before. And I had made a vow to myself, so to the point where it puts a roadblock in your heart. Whether you know, when you make a vow to yourself, do you know God is a consummate gentleman? He is not going to cross that boundary that you've made to yourself. So you're wondering why, oh, how come I can't get, into a good relationship? When I meet someone, something goes wrong, or your attitude or the way we are turns them off. It's because of the anger and the vow that you've made to yourself. The vow that you made and that you've spoken out of your mouth is what Satan takes and captures and causes everything in your life to go off when it comes to relationships. When you say, I'll never love another person, or I'll never let nobody do this, or I'll never let nobody do that to me. I will never take that again. You make this vow to yourself. And therefore, you prevent God from moving in your behalf the way he wants to. He wants the best for us. That's the one thing. God is a loving God. He does want the best for us at all times. And I would say to you, women, men, that you've gone through a breakup recently, you're going through breakups of a marriage, especially of marriages, because that's like ripping your flesh. It's like your flesh, you're connected, you're one. That's like pulling and ripping apart something. And that ripping of that flesh, if you take your skin and you grab your arm and you just rip it, you rip it off, that is excruciatingly painful. Number one, the healing process to cause that skin to be reconnected and all the nerves to reconnect, because those nerves is the one thing that regrows along with your liver. That process to make the healing happen, you have to nurture that. You have to put salve on it. You have to put antibiotics on it. You have to make sure that you eat healthy, where you will have your own body, your immune system to help fight for you, to help the healing process of that flesh. So I would say the same thing for you to do, woman, a man, that if you're going through a breakup of a marriage or someone has mistreated you, not treated you well, I would challenge you to nurture the wounds as far as God is concerned. Go to God's word, go to prayer, go to God first before you do even seek counseling. Sometimes you may have to have counsel of others, because God says in the multitude of counsels, there is safety. There are men and women around you that love the Lord, men and women around you that have wisdom, that may have walked the road that you have, and they can tell you the do's and the don'ts. I remember my mom sharing with me just a little of what she had gone through toward the end of her life, toward the very, I think like the year before she died. She and I were talking, and I had mentioned this before, when she said that she didn't have a soul to talk to, all the things that she did. Even though she was the youngest, her siblings could not even come alongside of her and share and tell her, give her wisdom as to what to do or what not to do. But she didn't have that with her. So thus she lived her life making a lot of mistakes until she got older, when she settled and she finally met someone in her early 50s, I think. And that was it for her for the rest of her life. But don't focus so hard on what the person has done to you, or what he or she is doing now, how they're treating you. Because I promise you, as you sow, you reap. If you keep going and doing the right thing, whether you're male or female, you're doing the right thing. I promise you, God will reward you. He'll give you double for your trouble. I'm a living witness. He will make up. I remember him telling me, he said, I'll make up to you what was done to you. And I was like walking across the street to the cafeteria from work. I'm like, how will you make that up to me? And he gave me an example of my sons. Like, say if they wanted something and or they had something and someone else took that from them, or either they wanted a particular thing and could not get it, then you come along and say, don't worry, honey, don't worry, baby, son or daughter, don't worry, don't worry, I'm gonna get it, I'll make it up to you, I'll make up for it. So you as that parent, you go get the best you can for your child, which is better than what they would have had before, better than what they lost. So that's what God does. He will give you double for your trouble. If your husband has left you, if he's cheated on you, if your wife has left you, if she's cheated on you, all you do is just keep your tunnel vision, keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on Jesus Christ, the author and the finisher of your faith. And I promise you, he'll give you double for your trouble. But don't make the pain, the trauma, the heartache, the hurt, the wounds that you suffered, don't make it your God. Don't put it in God's place. He belongs in that place of that pain. He belongs there. So that's all that I had to say today. I just want to say you guys have an awesome, wonderful day. Thank you so much for popping in. Have an awesome weekend. Have an awesome week. Okay, bye now.